Coming to you from deep within the heart of Texas in our secret underground bunkers, it's the New Republic Radio Show. Welcome to the weekday edition of the New Republic Show. I'm your host, Keith Clark. And today we're going to be bringing you a bunch of different stories that obviously most of them you're not going to hear of in the mainstream news. But that's what we do here at the New Republic, is we bring you the information that everyone else is either hiding or not talking about. We're going to be talking a few stories about some of the GALLUP polls, Farrakhan's in the news lately, some odd stuff going on in Britain as far as freedoms. We're going to be talking about the food stamp enrollment, you name it, global warming. We're going to be hitting quite a few different type of stories. So sit tight and sit back and enjoy. One of the things I want to first start off talking about is our contest that's still ongoing. We're definitely climbing up there as far as our subscriptions. So I want to thank you guys for that. So keep that going. Let your friends know. Put the word out there so that way you guys can get some very nice headphones for free. Anyway, in the news segment, we'll go ahead and start this show off. We're going to be talking about the GALLUP polls. A recent GALLUP poll was shown to be 50% for Romney and 46% for Obama. Now, this is obviously a huge shift. We know this all really transpires and goes back to the first presidential debate that we had there, where, honestly, Romney pretty much trounced Obama. Now, of course, today is going to be the second round of that. We've had the vice president debates so far, which the vice president debates, while not necessarily what you would call a huge win for the Romney campaign, as far as styles considered, they did win the debate. Ryan did a great job. Biden just basically did a bunch of laughing and basically trying to talk down and just be a butt in general. One thing that's really showing is the fact that women are starting to move away from the Obama campaign, and I think Biden had a lot to do with that. So that's another GALLUP poll that shows that women are turning away. And with the recent vice president campaigns, and even in reflection to the Obama campaigns, there's not a lot of leadership coming out of the Obama administration's campaign. So that's something that women take very seriously. Is, they're focused on people with ideas, plans, and people that really seem like they can go through and follow through on those type of things. So it'll just really be interesting after tonight's debate to see if this is a continuing trend or if it's just kind of a blip in the radar. But I don't know. Overall, I really think I'm seeing this more as a trend. I don't see that the debates tonight are going to change much as far as that trend's concerned. Because, again, I think that if Romney doesn't win big like he did last time, he'll be solid. Definitely he'll be solid. Obama is reeling from so many scandals and so much stuff that's going on in his administration that his skills as a debater, while they're not that really great, as far as a man that can read off of a teleprompter, he is absolutely one of the best. He can deliver speeches that are pre-written for him like none other. I mean, at worst case, he mispronounces a word. But other than that, he does a really great job. If not, once you get him off prompter, he's going to be and on and all over the place. He actually gets quite annoying. But, we'll see some more of that tonight. I will be very surprised if he turns that around at all. But I don't know. I just thought that was interesting that Ryan is really starting to command a very large lead. Record enrollment on food stamps. 46 million people on food stamps. Another black eye to the Obama administration. One of these things, too, that I'd like to bring up is the fact that the administration is really promoting people to try to get on food stamps. They're even doing joint promotions, as it were, with Mexico. to get people on food stamps. So I don't really get this. Sure, people that are in need help, but when you have such a large portion of the population on food stamps, that starts to become a serious burden. So as far as leading the country, I don't really see a great thing there. Moving on, Gallup poll. Oh, I already talked about this, is with the women turning away from the Obama campaign. And, of course, this goes back to the big wins of Romney Ryan in the debates and just sheer lack of leadership. Brits require ID to buy hunting magazines. Now, this is interesting. I know, obviously this is in Great Britain, so it's not in America. So a lot of people you're like, really, Keith, what's going on with that? Well, the simple fact is, these are the type of things, the crazy things that you're going to be seeing if we get another 4 years of Obama, if we get more Democrat leadership back in power and continuing power, and they keep on the direction that they're trying to bring this nation. This is a liberal mindset. It's a liberal agenda. Because what they're basically doing is they want to require ID so that nobody below the age of 14 can buy a hunting magazine if it shows people actually, shooting animals. It's basically just liberal nonsense where they're just trying to, basically do what they can to keep people from hunting. Because they feel like, oh, if you show this to young kids, it's going to traumatize them. It's going to, turn them into bloodthirsty, whatever. Animal murderers, people murderers. Who knows what their absolute agenda is there. But the simple fact is, it's part of the softening of a youth. Basically making them weak-willed, weak-minded. And it's also another way to erode rights so that they have more control and more sway over the populace. And as you've heard many times in my show, I've talked about the fact of other countries that France, Great Britain, Germany, that do these type of just odd civil right issues, or not civil rights, sorry, but personal freedom issues. And it's just basically the slow eroding of those type of rights to get the populace in line so that you can have an all-controlling, basically cradle-to-grave government. And the reason why I bring this up is because these are the type of things that I want to let you guys know that you can look forward to here in the States. If we're going to keep going down this liberal agenda, this liberal idea of what America should be, where basically the government controls everything, personal freedoms are just not important because the greater good, the greater whole is more important. These type of things is what we have in store. So it's just kind of a warning from the future. Farrakhan's firing new warning to the U.S. Every plague that is written in the Koran is going to come to pass in America. He also goes on to accuse the Republican Party of having a deep racial undercurrent. Now, Farrakhan, this guy, he's in the same league with Jesse Jackson, with all of these race baiters, these idiotic racist people that keep trying to keep the divide. And you know what? I put Obama in the same category. They keep trying to push this divide in America between black and white, between Republican and Democrat, between liberal and conservative. They try to keep this divide as deep as they can because it suits their purpose. Now, we all know that Farrakhan's crazy. Yes, we know that. But the simple fact is, he said this to a crowd of over 6,000 people. People still listen to the man. I mean, yeah, maybe the vast populace knows that he's just out of his mind. But there are still a lot of people that listen to him. This is the kind of stuff that the left, that the news media wants to promote. I mean, they want to keep this idea that there's this undercurrent in the Republican Party that hates black people, that wants to push black people down, that take their rights away. These are the type of people that you hear this garbage about. There's going to be riots if Obama doesn't get reelected. Those type of people, the ignorant, racist ideologues that are so prominent in our society, and I cannot understand why we keep, or rather, why a large portion of our society in the minority groups, and you know what, even the white guilt liberals, why they continue to listen to these people. Over and over, they buy into their currency. They buy into these thoughts, these ideologies, and they keep moving this forward, this idea, this thought, this hope that they will keep America divided. And by keeping us divided, you know, they'll keep the Democrat-Republican lie going, and they'll be able to continue to control us. And I'm bringing this up just because I want you guys to know these people that stand against you, that are against freedom, that are against races under the United States getting along. You know, these are the people that want to keep blacks, Asians, blacks, Asians, whites, you name it, whatever skin color. They want to keep these people racially divided. And the way that they do this is just over and over. They keep bringing it up in the media. They keep talking about it. They keep talking up, you know, their code words like undercurrents and just people that, oh, you know, anybody that tries to go against Obama, you know, they're racist. If you're against Obama in any way, that you're racist. If you use the word apartment, you're a racist. If you use the word Chicago, you're a racist. If you use the word peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you're a racist. You know, they have all these code words and ideologies that just keep people in the dark, in this ignorance. And it's so sad that here it is, 2012, and we have these people that are keeping alive the sentiments from 1950, from 1900, from 1850. These people are the throwbacks. They want to take us back to a time when ignorance reigned, when people were divided by the color of their skin, where political ideas were divided by the color of the skin. So, again, I just want to highlight these people every time they get in the news. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you people know about it. I'm going to bring it to your attention, you know, just so that we can move past this, so that we can always know that when these people open their mouth, garbage is going to come out. Now, moving on, this is something that is deeply disturbing to me. As I've brought up before, many of you've heard Obama's statement in a speech where he was talking about he would create an army in the U.S. that were more powerful than the military. That was his words. And in my words, ultimately, they would basically be an Obama youth, kind of like Hitler's youth. But here's a report. The Department of Homeland Security has just graduated its first class of 231 Homeland youth kids, aged 18 through 24, and recruited from the President's AmeriCorps volunteers. They represent the first wave of DHS's Youth Corps, designed specifically to create a full-time, paid standing army of FEMA youth across the country. Let that set in. A standing army of FEMA youth across the country. Those are not my words. Why do we need kids aged 18 through 24 recruited by the president as a standing army across the country? All in the guise of FEMA. Now, a lot of you guys have heard about the FEMA camps. And for those few of you that haven't, the FEMA camps, if you want to look it up, there's a big conspiracy theory going on that FEMA has been constructing basically concentration camps, areas where you can put large amounts of people with fences surrounding everything, places for them to sleep, eat, and work. Now, these camps are real. They really do exist. Nobody knows exactly what they're for, and the government really doesn't talk about it. But obviously, the conspiracy theorists are going to say that, hey, these camps are there to lock up political dissidents, people that are going to cause problems, people that are going to cause issues. Whenever, you invoke things like martial law, or let's say political elections don't go the way that they really should have, this is a place to put all the people that complain and cause issues. Now, one of the big keys to this conspiracy theory that a lot of people are basically saying, no, man, look, that would never work, because police, the everyday average police officer out there is not going to go, he's not going to be okay with, hey, Mr. Officer, here's a list of people I need you to round up and take to the FEMA camps. Okay? I understand that. I know quite a few officers, and I know that they wouldn't do that kind of thing. And a lot of people have said that, police officers aren't going to do it. I know military men and women that wouldn't do it. But here's my question. That's been the big naysays. Everybody's like, hey, who's going to enforce these type of rules? And that is a great question, because you have the FEMA camps, but you don't actually have the people that are going to round citizens up and march them down to the FEMA camp, because our proud American soldiers and our proud American police officers would not want to do this, and they would fight it tooth and nail. But here's my question. Up until this very moment, once this has come out about the Homeland Security, do you think these 231 Homeland youths, kids between 18 and 24 years of age, who are very impressionable, who have been basically recruited by the president from the DHS, do you really think that these guys aren't being indoctrinated and can't be indoctrinated and can't be subverted and confused and presented the facts in a certain way that these young people would not necessarily have super huge problems with rounding dissidents up? I mean, think about it. If you really, these aren't experienced soldiers in the U.S. military. These are not experienced officers in the police forces around this great country. These are 18 to 24-year-old youths. They're just proud because they're part of FEMA. They're doing something good. But you mean to tell me that people couldn't be labeled as terrorists, dissidents, you name it. They couldn't paint this in a way that these 18-year-olds, these 18 to 24-year-olds couldn't be basically tricked into running around and rounding up the people that have too many guns, that what could they say, that are dangerous to the peace, that are spreading lies about the administration, the government, and America. That is, again, I know we're going out here left field and this is very conspiratorial, but I'm just putting out a point. What's the point of these 231 Homeland youth? And it's the first class. So how many of these classes are there going to be? They're 18 to 24. They're fully paid. They're a standing army of FEMA youth. What's the point? Do we have hurricanes constantly all the time that we need 231 people standing by year-round being paid full-time, year-round? Do we need these folks here all the time? And, why do they have to go to these classes and, basically be taught all these particular things or whatever it is? What's the point of this? So, hey, if it just stops at 231 or maybe 600, maybe 1,000 or so, okay, I won't probably worry about it so much. But if we start seeing numbers like, 50,000, 100,000, we have a military of 100 million soldiers. 1 million soldiers. So, about 1 million. And Obama's whole point was, he was like, they're going to be stronger than the military. Does that mean that they're going to obviously have tanks and planes and stuff? No, I don't think that necessarily. But I think he probably meant in numbers. So my question is when we start seeing numbers of more than 1 million Obama youths or FEMA youths, whatever you want to call it, then I would seriously start worrying. Because again, you want to track this back to all of the bullets that all the bullets that DHS has bought, all the riot gear that they've bought, all the ammunition that Social Security bought, all of these different type. Oh, the IRS too. Again, all the crazy amounts of ammunition that the IRS bought. Really, IRS? Y'all need all of this ammunition? But anyway, just going back, I'm not really trying to be on the conspiratorial thing, but a lot of this, man, it really needs to make you wonder. I'm not trying to say that you need to think, oh my gosh, right now the government's conspiring against me. But you know what? You need to start thinking about it. You need to start wondering. You need to start asking questions. And we need to figure out a way to make our politicians stand up and answer for it. Because these are some crazy, crazy times. And, you know, we need to know what's going on. And once we find out, we need to make our politicians pay for it by losing their jobs. Because, no, I don't think any American wants this kind of stuff. No, what American wants the Social Security Administration with tons and tons of ammo? Or the IRS with tons and tons of ammo? What citizen wants that and is okay with that? You know what? Why does DHS, who would only be basically, you know, they're not fighting a war. Why do we need DHS with military amounts of ammo? That makes no sense. You know, so again, and if this continues to grow, the FEMA youth, if this continues to grow in numbers, why do we need this? What American wants this? What American thinks that this is a good idea? Just throwing this out there for you guys to think about. You know, think about it, talk about it, spread the word about it. Look it up. Don't just take my word for it. It's all right there. It's real easy to find. Anyway, moving on. Clinton takes responsibility for consulate security. Blames confusion on fog of war. Okay. I don't exactly know why the Obama administration's throwing Clinton under the bus. I really don't believe that she's allowing herself to be thrown under the bus, because she is far too crafty for that. So I don't know what's going on with the first part of that. That is very confusing to me, I'll be honest. The second part of it, though, is she blames the confusion on fog of war. Okay, whatever. You know what? You say the buck stops there with you, Clinton? Okay, that's great. Suck it up, resign. It's your fault. Put the blame on you. Okay, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But my question is if you do take that and you do that, what does that do for you? Because we know that she wants to run for president. So how does this help her? Because if she runs for president again, does anybody think that this won't be brought up time and time again, and it won't be ground out through the press about, you know, the whole consulate security issue and how she got these people killed, blah, 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 blah. You know, I don't get it. There's something else going on here. Yeah, we're trying to get Obama in office is basically what they're trying to do, but what's the end game? Is that the end game? And if that's the end game, that's scary, because that basically means that it stops with Obama. But what's going on? I mean, seriously, I can't believe that Clinton has allowed herself to be thrown under the bus like this. So that's just something to think about. I mean, it's horrible, and I really feel for the families of those involved. And I think she does need, if this is the case, she needs to be blamed, and I think she needs to resign. Basically, you know, she needs to be punished for the problems that she caused. And this whole excuse as fog of war, that's a bunch of crap. You know, because we've all seen the reports We know that they kept asking for more and more security, more and more help, and nothing came. But I don't know. That's just confusing me because I really want to know what the end game is with that whole situation, because I just can't see Clinton allowing Obama and Biden to throw her under the bus. Anyway, moving on. AP sources, State Department officials deny linking attack to anti-Islam video, raising questions. Well, obviously that does raise questions. Why are they denying it when in fact we all saw them come on TV and say, even the State Department was talking about, yeah, you know, it's this video stuff's, you know, just really crazy, nothing to do with 911, you know, not coordinated, da 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 da. But ask about the administration's initial and since retracted explanation linking the violence to protest over an anti-Muslim video circulating on the internet. One official said, "That was not our conclusion," end quote. He called it a question for others, end quote, to answer without specifying. So basically, from the State Department, we're getting, it wasn't us, we didn't say it, it wasn't our conclusion, and that's a question for others to answer. Seriously? I mean, our government at all levels, Homeland Security, the White House, State Department, the Eric Holder, why am I just drawing a blank? But anyway, his department, they're all falling apart. I mean, everything is blame somebody else. It's not my fault. You know, we couldn't help it. Not a single organization in our current government takes responsibility for anything. The only responsibility taken has been by Clinton. And again, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. So, what does this say about America? You know, no wonder the polls are basically shifting so fast and so furiously, pardon the pun. But Americans have to feel like their government is out of control, because it is. Nobody is responsible for anything, and nobody's evidently talking to each other. Everybody's doing their own thing, and then of course when crap hits the fan, they all look to each other for excuses and they cover for each other. I mean, this is the worst. This is like, you know, everybody's had a job like this where you work somewhere where it's a good old boy system. Basically everybody is somehow, you know, related, best friends, somebody's brother's cousin, you know what I mean? And every time something goes wrong, everything's covered up and swept under the rug. I mean, that is exactly what is going on with our government. Nobody is responsible for anything. I'm sick and tired of it. I know you guys are. But we got to make a difference, and that's what this show is about. It's exposing this kind of thing, to get it out there, to get people to thinking about it, to give you not talking points, but things to talk about, ideas to bounce off each other, to your liberal friends, to your kind of in the middle friends, to make them understand that, look, our government is not working. We've got to step up and do something. Now, here's another huge scandal, but it'll never make any hay with this, but it's just basically going to be swept under the rug. But global warming. Here's a report. Global warming stopped 16 years ago, reveals Met Office. The figures reveal that from the beginning of 1997 until August 2012, there was no discernible rise in aggregate global temperatures. Now, what does this do to the left? Now, basically, this kind of puts them in disarray. Obviously, they're going to say the normal things that, this information's not accurate. They're going to, blame it on this and that. But here, let me tell you something. The burden of proof lies not in the global warming naysayers. The burden of proof lies in the global warming advocates. Because just as in the 70s when it was, oh, we're going through global cooling, rather, and we're headed for an ice age, you just basically have the opposite. Oh, well, we got global warming, and we're headed for these really high, crazy temps, and the world's going to come to an end because water's going to rise 16 feet, and poor Florida and California's all going to be underwater, and yada, yada, yada. You know, you've all heard the Al Gore spiel. The poor polar bears that are dear to my heart, they're not going to have anywhere to live. But the burden of proof lies with them. They have to prove it. And unfortunately, the data does not meet it out. Just as we had all of the scandals with the United Nations, where we had the emails that showed that the scientists were covering up and altering the data because it was part of their agenda to show that there was global warming, because there's so much money in it. And the United Nations needed that money. And those scientists were feeling the pressure. Even if the scientists, you know, even if they didn't care one way or another and they just wanted to get to the truth, unfortunately, just like every scientist, they have to get their grants, they have to get their money, they have to basically give a reason to continue to be employed. And unfortunately, when those type of things happen, whoever's paying them, they're going to try their best to make the data reflect what those people want to see. And the UN and a lot of governments, especially with the carbon stuff, and a lot of bodies, a lot of liberals, a lot of liberal ideologues, they want to see this type of data. Of course, they are the ones that fund these type of studies. But it's just funny, you see study after study after study come out that shows that global warming, while it is real and while it has happened, it's nothing of what these people are talking about, of what they're trying to show. You know, again, many times I've, discussed this with friends, to have the idea that man, little old us, is more powerful than a volcano. That little old us is more powerful than an asteroid. That we're more powerful than the sun. Than solar activity. Think about it. I mean, think about the temperature swing from night to day. And that's just because the Earth turns. Now, imagine if the Earth adjusts a little bit, which it does in its orbit. Imagine if you go through a hyper period in the sun's activity as far as thermal radiation. You think those type of things can't change and adjust and make, the seasons a little goofy here and there compared to what little old man can do? Seriously, one volcano can do 100 years worth of damages that man could do. And that's what, that's what I can't seem to get these liberals to understand. You put so much importance in man and how great we are and how powerful we are. But there is a limit to what we can do. There's only so much we can do. But anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up because, the global warming debate has raged on and will rage on. I don't think the global warming debate will be over until we do hit an ice age. Once we've had straight 12 months of snow and ice and glaciers. Breaking news, Dallas, Texas, taken out by a glacier. Yeah, then finally, somebody's going to say like, yeah, man, that global warming thing, man, that was just a bad idea. We really didn't know what we were talking about. We definitely had some bad data. I mean, that's the only time it's going to be over. Anyway, moving on. 979-31-TALK-6. 979-31-TALK-6. I'm sure the global warming has upset plenty of liberals, so I know you guys want to call in and make your little hateful comments and use your talking points, and that's great. We love that. You're part of the show too, so please do give us a call. Moving on to Liberal Nonscence Segment, our last segment in the show, and we'll be wrapping this up. I know I've gone a little bit long, but we have Dishwatergate. Or Dishgate. I don't like the Dishwatergate. I'd rather just call it Dishgate. Basically, it's about the charity president that says Ryan did nothing. He just came in to get his picture taken. This is basically about some pictures that Ryan and his family took at a soup kitchen. The statement from the charity president was, we're a faith-based organization. We're apolitical because the majority of our funding is from private donations. Antal said in a phone interview Monday afternoon, it's strictly in our bylaws not to do it. They showed up here, they showed up there, and they did not have permission. They got one of the volunteers to open up the doors. Now, here's my problem with a lot of this is, okay, I get it. They're mad because they're saying that, Ryan and his family showed up after everything was cleaned up, and they just basically took a bunch of pictures while they're cleaning pans and trying to make it look like they did something. Okay, well, first and foremost, I want to say this Antel, number one, he wasn't even there. In his statement, he even admitted that. They showed up there, and they did not have permission. Okay? They got one of the volunteers to open up the doors. Number two, he talks about how it's in his bylaws not to, it's strictly in our bylaws that, we can't, promote any kind of political thing. Well, until actually in opening your mouth and talking about this and saying that, hey, this guy barged in and took pictures and he did nothing, as your statement says, that's a political statement now because you've basically made a big deal out of it. So if you really wanted to stay apolitical, you should have just said that they showed up without permission. They got one of the volunteers to open up the doors. That would have been an apolitical statement. So I'm sorry, I do have to wonder a little bit about this Antel guy. I'm curious. I think that this gentleman has just as much in it to do as Ryan does as far as an agenda. So I don't know. I just think it's funny that this is such a huge scandal on the liberal blogs, the liberal radio shows, in the liberal universe. This is just the Dishgate thing is just a big, huge deal. But I want to also say another couple of things. I just think this is funny because people are mad that Ryan showed up at a soup kitchen and supposedly washed clean dishes or whatever. But here's my question. Does anybody even have a picture of Biden or Obama even ever being at a soup kitchen? I mean, I don't think, it might mess up their manicure to actually go to any soup kitchen and do anything, much less wash a clean pot or pan. So, I don't know. I think this is just kind of funny, and I do think it's a non-issue. Political people, presidents especially, have taken a lot of pictures like this. For instance, we all remember when Clinton did all the beach pictures in France at the cemeteries when they did the big celebration of the D-Day invasion. He went out on the beach and was deep in thought and staring at a little rock on the beach as the waves gently lapped. And it was such a serene and deep and thoughtful picture that was just so happened to be snapped in the perfect angle with the light just perfectly cascading down on President Clinton as the waves lapped at the beach. Seriously, political people do this all the time. But I just think it's funny because that's the huge end-all, be-all, going to take Ryan and Romney down scandal. You know, that Dishgate, that's the Ryan Romney scandal. And of course, the Obama scandal, the Obama-Biden scandals are Fast and Furious, Libya, Egypt, consulate attacks. Let's see, I don't know. There's so many. I can't even remember them all. I'm sure a lot of you can remember them and think about them. But I'm just saying, is like that's Obama, Biden, and Romney, Ryan. We've got income tax returns. We've got Dishgate. Yeah, that's the big scandals. Big, huge, evil scandals. Anyway, just, more thoughts of how the liberals live in a complete la-la land. Anyway, that's going to be the end of the show. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know it was a little bit long. It's night here. It's a little bit late in the day. We've got rain. You can probably hear it in the background if you listen close enough. I've really been enjoying this day. Unfortunately, it's here in Texas, so at the underground bunkers, it's going to probably be in the 90s tomorrow. So I'm really not liking that. I've been in Texas a long time. I love Texas, but man, I'm sick of the heat. I'm ready for some winter. But anyway, guys, I hope y'all have a great day. I hope you enjoy the presidential debates or whatever you happen to be watching tonight. I do want to remind you guys to go out and spread some love, some wealth, some ideas, some thoughts. Be thoughtful to people. Be kind. Say some kind words. Give out some smiles. Take care of your community, because your community will take care of you. And do some good deeds, because that's what we need to catch on. That's the kind of stuff that we need to go viral. We don't need viral videos. We need viral kindness. So go out and do a little something good for somebody. And I hope, other than that, I hope y'all have a awesome week. And we shall hear at the underground bunkers. And other than that, we will be talking to y'all for the weekend show. So y'all have a great one. I'm your host, Keith Clark. I'll talk to you later.
September sun, blowing golden hair. Now keeping my son, she was never there. October's rust, bisecting black stone clouds. Only the deaf hear my silent shout. Yet in the dark, still he screams your name. Nights living dead, with which rhyming saying 10 years of mass, for told no be done. A steady time was his name, Peter. September sun, rotted Flatbush porch. I would have run then, had I known the cost. But on the race, turn your eyes to stone. Did it give you pleasure to still mine.